Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Today will be a victory for survivors. Today, democracy is working because today the City Council will vote on Intro 1297, a bill to amend the New York City Gender Violence Protection Act. This bill is so important. It's so important because Intro 1297 will allow survivors in New York to sue institutions that enabled sexual violence, even if it occurred decades ago. Intro 1297 will allow survivors of sexual violence to hold hospitals and corporations that enabled sexual violence accountable. Intro 1297 will allow survivors to hold Jeffrey Epstein accountable for sex trafficking. And we've reached this moment because of a broad coalition, a coalition led first and foremost by survivors of sexual violence in New York City. They have empowered themselves, they have empowered survivors across this city, and the City Council has heard the calls of these survivors. Over 40 co-sponsors, City Council members who have courageously stepped forward, who have refused to take no for an answer, the support of nonprofit advocacy groups, the support of community leaders. And I want to introduce, with special thanks and gratitude, Council Member Sylvina Brooks Powers, the lead sponsor of Intro 1297, who has made this vote possible today.
Thank you. Thank you and good afternoon, everyone. Today is a powerful day. A day that belongs to every survivor, every advocate, every attorney, every organizer, and every New Yorker who refused to give up the fight for justice. To the survivors standing with us, and to those watching afar, thank you. Thank you for your strength, your voice, your willingness to keep pushing even when the system pushed back. It all brought us here to this moment today. This bill is moving because of you. Your courage is changing city laws. I want to thank Public Advocate Jumaane Williams for his unwavering commitment to equity and justice. Thank you to Chair Farrah Lewis, whose leadership has been steady, compassionate, and strong. Thank you as well to Majority Leader Amanda Farias, former Council Member Carlina Rivera, and all of my colleagues who stood up and said, we will not allow survivors to be left behind. And to the advocates, the legal teams, the service providers, the grassroots leaders, the coalitions, your years of persistence made this possible. You sounded the alarm, you fought in the courts, you fought in the council, and you fought right alongside survivors every step of the way. We are here today because we are on the brink of a major victory. In just a short time, the council will vote on Intro 1297, legislation that restores survivors' rights, reopens the GMVA look-back window, and makes absolutely clear that institutions cannot hide behind legal technicalities to escape their responsibility. When the court sought to narrow the law, you all helped to ensure that this council would widen it again and make it stronger. This bill says to survivors, we believe you, we stand with you, and we will make sure the doors to justice stay open. And it sends an equally important message to institutions that ignored, enabled, or protected abuse. Your power does not place you above accountability. Right. Not in this city, not ever. That's right. As someone with lived experience and who has been a longtime advocate for survivors, I know how hard won these moments are. Today is not just legislative cleanup. It is a reaffirmation of our values as a council and as a city. A reaffirmation that survivors matter. A reaffirmation that institutions must be held accountable. A reaffirmation that justice delayed does not have to be justice denied. So let's celebrate this moment and let's finish what we started. Let's get Intro 1297 passed. Let's restore the rights that the survivors were promised. And let's continue building a city where justice is never out of reach. Thank you.
Hoorah.
I'd like to introduce one of the courageous survivors that has fought for his legal rights, Leon Santiago.
Hello. How you doing, sir? Thank you, sir. Hello, everybody. I'm Leon Santiago. I'll start by this. My name is Leon, and I'm here today. I'm here today because of the passing of Intro 1297. This means something very deeply personal to me. When I was a kid in a juvenile detention facility, a staff member hurt me in ways that no child should ever experience. The trauma from that time has stayed with me. It has stayed with me my entire life. I still deal with the pain today. I still deal with the triggers and the moments when certain people or situations bring everything back. But every day I push forward. I focus on my daughter, my 14-year-old daughter, Leonie Love Santiago, that I love to death. Straight A student. I focus on my job, the stability that I built at my job. Those two things, my daughter and my job, those two things are the things that has me grounded. And I love it. I thank God. Intro 1297 gives me something else to hold on to. It gives me a real chance for life, for my case to move forward. Something I've been waiting for, something that helps me feel like justice is possible. The passing of this bill is another step in my healing. It tells survivors like me that what happened to us matters. It does matter. It always mattered. And that the institution that allowed this abuse won't be able to hide from this, from accountability anymore, at all, anymore. Ain't no more hiding. Thank you for standing with me, and with all survivors who are still fighting to be heard, all of us. God bless all of us. Thank you. Thank you. Excuse me.
Thank you so much, Leon. And behind every case, behind every opportunity for justice is a powerful human story. Thank you, Leon, for bringing that story to us. Corinne Sills, objection. And Jordan Burke, an attorney, thank you.
Okay, so a couple of months ago, I came forward about how I was sexually abused as a child by Jeffrey Epstein. I was argued that even though I was a victim of Jeffrey Epstein, I could not pursue my case because of the statute of limitation. However, today, thanks to New York City Council, I get my voice back as a survivor. Now I can try to seek justice for all the harm that I have suffered. Thank you to Speaker Adams, Councilwoman Brooks Powers, and all of the council members who have stood with the survivors instead of with Jeffrey Epstein. Thank you, everyone.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jordan Merson, JordanMerson. I'm a lawyer that represents many victims of Jeffrey Epstein, and I want to thank the New York City Council for giving these victims a chance at justice. Sponsor Brooks Powers, this is really an incredible part of your legacy. You've done a really great thing here for all of these survivors, so thank you. The New York City Council has shown by action that it stands with sexual abuse survivors and not with sex traffickers like Jeffrey Epstein. Anyone who at this point tries to undo or defeat this bill will be telling the whole world that they want to protect Jeffrey Epstein and other sex traffickers and not help sexual abuse victims. Thank you.
We want to hear from another courageous sex abuse survivor, Austin Stevens.
I'm gonna try to hold it together. My name is Austin Stevens. I have been watching everything unfold from the sidelines, carrying my own experience and my own pain with me. When the case was dismissed, I felt deeply disappointed. One that went far beyond legal system. It re-traumatized me. It took me right back being a kid. When I was stayed silent about the abuse I went through because I truly believe no one will believe me. Seeing the case thrown out felt like that same silence all over again. But fighting to get intro 1297 passed has changed something in me. It reminded me that I am not alone, that there are people who care, and that survivors like me deserve to be heard. The bill gives us a chance, not just for justice, but for recognition. The most important, shows me that I could be part of the fight to protect children today. I could speak up when I couldn't speak up when I was a child, but I can speak up now. And if my voice helped even one child feel safe, or one survivor feels less alone, then this has been worth it. I took all my traumas, what I went through, and stress, and turned it into success. There's many victims. That's not it, they dead. They gone because they didn't know how to deal with the pain and suffering of being sexually assaulted. They've been on drugs and everything else. They didn't find a way in action. They just couldn't. They dead or they in jail for the rest of their life. So I want to speak up for them and speak up for the victim that's dead and people that couldn't speak up right now that's not here. Thousands of victims all around the world that don't know how to take their pain and suffering and turn it into success and rewards. But I'm a city worker, and I fought back and telling you that you can do it. Thank you so much.
Do we have any other survivor speakers? Any other survivors? You're welcome to speak. Okay. Anyone? Thank you so much, Mr. Stevens. Thank you so much. We have groups that devote all of their work to fighting for the rights of survivors. And one of those groups is the New York City Alliance Against Sexual Assault. And I'd like to introduce the executive director, Emily Miles.
My name is Emily Miles. I'm the executive director of the New York City Alliance Against Sexual Assault. And I want to start by saying it is an absolute honor to be standing here today with all of these survivors at this pivotal moment. I think we discount sometimes or don't acknowledge the strength that is required for these survivors to tell their stories, not just once, but over and over and over again, in order to seek a pathway to accountability for the trauma that they experienced as children. And I just want to acknowledge that again, and what an honor it is to be standing in your presence. With the passage of Intro 1297, the New York City Council has acted to right a long-standing wrong and stand in solidarity of survivors of gender-motivated violence. For far too long, survivors who endured abuse, including abuse at the hands of institutions who willfully looked the other way, have found themselves shut out of the legal system. They waited for justice. They found that justice delayed, and they found that time itself became a weapon used against them. Intro 1297 changes that. This local law revives civil pathways for people harmed by gender-motivated violence and critically enables them to make claims not just against the abusers themselves, but the institutions that played a pivotal role in allowing that abuse to take place. This matters deeply. Institutions have power, resources, and public trust, and when they fail, when they enable and perpetrate abuse, that harm is multiplied and the promise of protection becomes a betrayal. Intro 1297 says, we will hold power accountable. We will stand with survivors. To the survivors here today, your courage has changed the law. Your voices have been heard. This victory does not erase your pain. It does not erase the past, but it does open a door and a pathway to accountability. It affirms that you matter, that your claims matter, and that the institutions that harmed you should not be immune from reckoning. To the City Council and all of the staff, advocates, and allies who work tirelessly, thank you deeply. You have shown what leadership looks like. You have shown that when we listen, when we act, when we align ourselves with survivors rather than delay and deflect, progress is truly possible. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Emily. Our next speaker is Catherine Robb, the leader of another organization that focuses on the rights of sex abuse survivors.
Thank you. Thank you. So I work with the Children's Justice Campaign at Enough Abuse, and we write this type of legislation all over the country. And so I just want to share something, that right now the present data is telling us that 1 in 8 of our children will be sexually assaulted before their 18th birthday. If that is not an epidemic, I don't know what is. Another thing is that New York is not an outlier. This is not something new. We have 33 jurisdictions in the country that have passed revival legislation. We have 23 that have completely eliminated. So we've taken the gloves off on sexually assaulting children, and adults for that matter as well, right? We're taking the gloves off and we're standing up for children, for survivors, and we're holding not just the perpetrators, but the institutions that covered this up. And we do it for the survivors here and all survivors, but we also do it for another really important point, and it is this: that when we make our laws stronger and hold institutions accountable, we protect our children in the future. And we want to protect our children in the future. I'll leave it with this last statement. Why should perpetrators be protected by the passage of time while victims and survivors suffer in perpetuity? I thank the City Council. I thank all of these survivors and great advocates. Thank you.
The issue of sexual violence affects communities all around New York City. I'd like to introduce the next speaker, Asher Levy, who fights for a community of people in the city who are affected by this issue as well.
Thank you, Councilmember Brooks Powers, the survivors and advocates and attorneys who work tirelessly to make Intro 1297 happen. My name is Asher Lowy. I'm a survivor. I was abused in Brooklyn. I grew up in Brooklyn. I'm the director of Zaka, which advocates for survivors of sexual violence within the Jewish community. The majority of our clients are from the Orthodox and ultra-Orthodox communities of the New York metro area, specifically in New York City. When the Child Victims Act passed in 2019, after 13 years of advocacy in the face of bitter adversity, those of us in the Jewish community, survivors and advocates, we hoped it would usher in a new era of justice and accountability for the community and help bring a sense of justice and closure for survivors. What followed, unfortunately, despite the 10,857 lawsuits filed under that law, was a trickle of cases from our community when we knew that there were many, many more victims who wanted justice but didn't feel that they had access to it. Despite the eventual extension of the Child Victims Act for another year, the number of survivors who came forward under that law stayed a trickle. The community, for its part, sprang into action to help abusers and the institutions that supported the abusers and enabled the abuse. They helped those people find the best attorneys, and they silenced any efforts to try to raise awareness about the existence of the Child Victims Act in the community, in addition to retaliating against the survivors who took advantage of that law to seek justice. But nonetheless, that trickle made a difference, and as those cases moved forward and the public saw the process of justice play out, the conversation started to change. So when the Adult Survivors Act passed at the state level and its window opened, the trickle turned into a little creek, and even more cases were filed. When that window closed, however, there were still many survivors in the community who had never known it had existed, in part due to efforts by leaders in that community. Unlike with the Child Victims Act, however, with the flurry of attention to the Adult Survivors Act as the window closed, there was a remedy waiting for survivors in New York City who had missed their chance under the ASA, the Gender Motivated Violence Act, with the amendment that passed in 2022. More lawsuits were filed from our community under the GMVA than under the Adult Survivors Act, and with the closure of the GMVA window, we at Zaka started collecting a list of survivors who had missed their opportunity under the statute of limitations to pursue justice. Today, as soon as the City Council votes to pass the GMVA amendment, me and my staff are going to call all the people on that list who were abused in New York City and let them know that they now have a chance to seek justice again, regardless of when they were abused, regardless of who abused them, regardless of who enabled it and which institutions covered up for it. The only way we're ever going to build a safer community is if we can expose the rot that is responsible for enabling sexual violence in our communities. It's not enough just for the abusers to face justice. The community leaders, the school administrators, the rabbis, hospital administrators, prison administrators, foster care administrators must all be held accountable for letting the abuse happen and for covering it up. As we know, survivors often take decades to disclose their abuse, which is why it's so important that there be no retroactive limit on when survivors can seek justice. Every brave survivor that comes forward, names their abuser and the people and institutions who enabled the abuse. It makes our community safer by exposing the people making the communities unsafe. It's not just for money or their own personal benefit that they take the courageous step of suing these people. It's for all of our benefits. It's so we and our communities and our children can be safer. So thank you to Councilmember Brooks Powers and to all the survivors and advocates and attorneys who helped make Intro 1297 happen. We move forward toward a safer New York City today because of all your efforts.
Thank you. Thank you, Asher. Do we have Shice Bubs?
Hey.
We have community leaders who have stepped up, not, in addition to survivors, elected officials, leaders of not-for-profits. We have community leaders who have had their leadership and their voice heard. Shice Bubs.
Thank you. My name is Shice Bubs. Thank you again. Intro 1297 was important to me advocating because I also come from trauma, not sexual trauma, but trauma in general. And it saddened me, and so when this agenda came up about sexual assault, I was really touched by that. I was like, accountability and transparency needs to happen. So on my platform, I decided to kind of join the campaign for Intro 1297 to get passed, and I'm very proud to stand with everybody here who came forward as survivors, to get this going and to make sure that that City Hall and the mayor's office acknowledges the pain and the suffering that people, are going through. Not just that, when our businesses and communities are affected, and you think how is your business affected? Well, when the employees are from your community and they're dealing with these traumas, and then you're trying to employ them and put them in different businesses or situations, and they just emotionally can't do the job because of these traumas, these things have to change. And like I said, I'm just happy that the mayor's office and City Hall is acknowledging this bill and signing off on it. Congratulations, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We have another community leader, Timothy Parsons. Oh, Tim.
I have two names.
Okay. All right. Hey, you learn something new every day. Okay. All right. Now I know your real name. All right. Great. All right. The New York State Trial Lawyers Association, NISLA, fights for the legal rights of people all around the state every day, all throughout the state. We have Graziella Deruba from NISLA here to speak. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Graziella Deruba, and I'm speaking on behalf of the New York State Trial Lawyers Association. Today is an important day for survivors across New York City. On behalf of the New York State Trial Lawyers Association, I want to thank the City Council, especially the bill sponsor Councilmember Sylvina Brooks Powers, and the chair of the Committee on Women and Gender Equity, Councilmember Farrah Lewis, for their leadership in reopening the GMVA look-back window. I also want to thank the advocates and survivor organizations whose persistence and courage made this possible. Nothing moves in this space unless survivors lead the way. NISLA helped pass the Child Victims Act and the Adult Survivors Act because we saw one truth again and again. Survivors are often unable to come forward until long after the statute of limitations has expired. Trauma, fear of retaliation, power imbalances, and institutional cover-ups delay disclosure, not lack of merit. The CVA and ASA proved that when the law finally gives survivors a chance, patterns of abuse emerge, serial predators are exposed, and institutions that hide misconduct are held to account. The GMVA window builds on that progress. Many survivors of gender-motivated violence were not able to file during the first revival period. Reopening this window ensures that they are not left behind. It means that survivors silenced by trauma or powerful institutions now have a meaningful path to justice. NISLA members have seen firsthand the difference these windows make, from child victims who finally confronted their abusers under the CVA to adult survivors who reclaimed their voice under the ASA. We know what access to justice looks like, and we know how life-changing it can be. By passing this legislation, the Council is reaffirming a simple principle. Survivors deserve a justice system that recognizes the realities of trauma, not one that slams the courthouse doors when they are ready to come and step forward. Thank you to the sponsors, to the survivor community, and to every advocate who fought for this moment. NISLA is proud to stand with you as we have through every major look-back window in New York. Together, we are ensuring that the truth comes to light, institutions are accountable, and survivors finally have the chance to be heard. Thank you.
Thank you, Graziella. All right. I just want to make sure if we have any elected officials that are here that we haven't heard from that want to speak, or any survivors that haven't spoken yet, or anyone who's come here with something to say who hasn't spoken yet. Okay. It looks like everyone has been heard, and we thank everyone for being here today, and we look forward to the vote. Thank you.